Not a lot of people have the guts to say this out loud, but today you're going to hear a truth that might just flip your world upside down. God chose a prostitute to fulfill a divine purpose. Yep, Rahab, a woman cast aside, discredited, living in the back alleys of Jericho, was chosen for something most folks wouldn't dare to imagine. And no, it's not about luck or chance. It's about spirituality, awareness, and that invisible force that runs the universe. Maybe you grew up hearing that God only uses the holy rollers, the super-religious, the perfect ones. But what if I told you that, in reality, God has a crazy history of using the least likely people? You know that feeling when you think your life doesn't have much value or purpose? Forget that. Today, you're going to see that even a life scarred by rejection can be rewritten fast. Rahab's story isn't just about salvation. It's about guts and purpose. Here's something most people won't tell you. While the world's busy chasing shiny distractions, those who tune in to the voice of the Spirit are being prepped for a much bigger role. Do you really think it's a coincidence you're here right now, hearing this story? It's not. This message might just be the spark you need to wake up your faith, open your spiritual eyes, and realize that yesterday's impossibilities are today's miracles. So get ready, because Rahab's journey is going to show you that divine purpose isn't just for people who already have it all together spiritually. It's for anyone bold enough to say yes, even when nobody else believes it. So are you in? Jericho wasn't just famous for its massive walls. It was a symbol of strength and security. While everyone boasted about this impenetrable fortress, a woman named Rahab lived in the shadows, watching the movements of a mysterious people approaching. Ever notice how the people on the fringes often see things others don't? Rahab, a woman pushed to the side, realized that those walls, no matter how solid they looked, weren't unshakable. And get this, while Jericho trusted in its stones, Rahab felt something different, something spiritual. It wasn't just fear of an army. It was the awareness that these people carried a divine purpose, a God who didn't need walls to win. We often think security means external protection, but Rahab knew real strength comes from faith and trust in something bigger. You know, that inner nudge, like, wake up, something big's about to happen. That's exactly what Rahab felt. Picture it, a whole city buzzing with confidence, while one woman, in her vulnerability, connected with the idea that those stones were coming down. And let's be real, how often do we cling to our own walls? A job, a relationship, a routine, without realizing they could all come crashing down in a heartbeat. Rahab saw that the security everyone in Jericho clung to was nothing compared to the spiritual strength of an invisible God. And that, my friend, is a massive life lesson for us today. Now think about it. If you were there, seeing it all unfold, would you have Rahab's sensitivity and courage to realize what was coming? That's where this surprising story really takes off. That night in Jericho, Rahab was in her home, probably thinking about all the rumors and tensions swirling through the streets. Two Hebrew guys showed up at her door, but they weren't just regular men. There was a spiritual vibe about them that sparked something inside her. How many times does God put people in our lives who seem to carry something extra? They're not just encounters, they're signs. Rahab, even with her fear, saw something in these guys that made her choose courage over safety. While the whole city slept, Rahab made a decision that would change her destiny. She hid the spies and lied to the soldiers looking for them. And check this out, it wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was an act of awareness. She knew that helping these men was more than a quick choice. It was a spiritual stand, a step of faith and strength. Ever noticed how sometimes the simplest decisions we make are the most spiritual? Whether it's offering help, standing up for someone, or just listening to that little voice saying something bigger is happening. Here's a real-life example. Think of times you've had a chance to step up, even without guarantees. Maybe it was standing up for someone being treated unfairly, or telling the truth when it could have cost you something. Rahab did that. And you? Are you brave enough to do what's right, even when it feels risky? That's what connects us to real spirituality and positive living. But hold on, because this story's just getting started. What Rahab did was only the beginning. It set the stage for a promise of protection no one saw coming. When Rahab hid the spies, she wasn't doing it hoping for a thank you or public recognition. She asked for something way deeper, protection for her family. Have you ever stopped to think how much courage it takes to put your family's safety above everything else, even when everything around you is falling apart? Her request was simple, yet loaded with spiritual awareness and purpose, a scarlet cord in the window. To most, it probably looked like a meaningless little detail, but to God and to her, it was the difference between life and death. That red cord was more than just a symbol, it was an act of faith. Just like we put reminders on our phones or sticky notes to not forget important stuff, Rahab put that cord out there as a sign to everyone that her home was marked by God. Imagine if today, in the middle of our crazy lives, we used our own red cords, not literal cords, but actions that show our faith and spiritual awareness. Maybe a daily prayer, a moment of reflection, a random act of kindness. That's the modern-day scarlet cord. And here's the wild part. Even when the whole city was in a panic, Rahab trusted the spies' promise. She could have bolted, hidden away somewhere else, but she stayed put, holding onto that cord, believing that the spiritual force of God was bigger than any wall or army. That teaches us something huge about patience and faith. Sometimes we make the right move, but we expect instant results. Rahab waited, and that wait set the stage for a miracle. Now get this. That scarlet cord was swinging in the breeze while the walls came crashing down. But Rahab's house stood firm, and that's where the story takes an epic twist. What seemed impossible actually became reality. On the seventh day, with the sun rising over Jericho, the people of Israel gathered and started marching around the walls. The whole scene was almost bizarre. No weapons, just trumpets blaring and synchronized steps. It was like God was showing that spiritual strength is way more powerful than any human strategy. What if we swapped all our daily chaos, yelling, rushing around, for moments of prayer and reflection? The results could be as surprising as what happened that day. Then came the big moment. The walls came crashing down. It was like God himself. It blew them over, wiping out what looked unbreakable. Meanwhile, Rahab's house stood tall, her scarlet cord visible, untouched. Can you imagine that scene? Everyone running, screaming, panicking, and her house standing like a lighthouse in the storm. Sometimes in life, God preserves what seems weakest, and it's in that preservation that real strength is found. This moment teaches us that when we're aligned with what's right, spiritually and consciously, even the disasters around us can't shake us. Here's a practical example. Imagine your life is in chaos, bills piling up, family drama, work stress. If you stay strong in your faith and clear in your conscience like that scarlet cord, you can trust that even when the walls around you fall, you'll still be standing. And guess what? When it all came crashing down, it wasn't just Israel's victory that stood out. It was Rahab's story that took on a whole new meaning. And the best part? Her rescue and her family's salvation were just the beginning. As the dust settled and the cries echoed through the city, Rahab and her family were led out to safety. Can you imagine the mix of emotions? Fear, relief, joy, all at once. But the most important thing was the fresh start that was waiting for them. And here's the thing. Sometimes we also need to leave everything behind, old habits, toxic relationships, comfort zones, to step into what God really has planned for. As the most beautiful part of this scene isn't just the physical rescue, but the spiritual redemption. Rahab didn't just leave Jericho, she stepped into a new path, a new awareness, a new spirituality. And the same goes for us. Escaping a problem isn't enough. You have to choose a new way of life. Here are some ideas. Dive into books that strengthen your faith, like the Book of Joshua, or get involved in activities that connect you with spiritual strength, like meditation or volunteering. Rahab and her family didn't look back. They knew that to step into the new, they had to let go of the old. And here's a powerful lesson. You can't carry it all with you. If you want a new life, a new awareness, you've got to let go of what's holding you back. It's that classic, let it go so you can let it in. That opens the door to an incredible new chapter. Speaking of new chapters, Rahab didn't just get a fresh start. She wrote a whole new story that nobody saw coming. Let's head straight into the next chapter. Rahab wasn't just the woman who helped the spies. She married Salmon, a prince of Israel, and together they had a son named Boaz. You've heard of him, right? Yep, the same Boaz who later married Ruth and became part of King David's family tree. Look at how God transforms lives in ways we can't even imagine. Rahab, once seen as an outcast, was now part of spiritual royalty. It's like God was saying, I see value where no one else does. Rahab's new beginning with Salmon is a huge example for us about how God uses anyone, no matter their past. You know that old story of, I'm not worthy, I'm not talented, I don't deserve it. Forget that. God doesn't choose based on your resume. He chooses based on your heart. And for anyone thinking about rebuilding their life, remember this, there's always a new beginning. It could be a new job, a new friendship, a life project, or even a spiritual calling. You just have to say yes. And here's what's amazing. Rahab didn't just step into a new story. She created a legacy that changed history. This shows us that the decisions we make today can impact entire generations. So if you think your choice only affects you, think again. And if you think your life is too ordinary, remember that God turns ordinary stories into extraordinary ones. Speaking of extraordinary, who would have thought that Rahab, that woman scorned in Jericho, would end up being an ancestor of Jesus, Christ himself? This isn't just a plot twist in her story. It's proof that spiritual strength and awareness can ripple through the ages. Rahab's choice back then didn't just stop at the walls of Jericho. It echoed all the way to the genealogy of the Savior of the world. And that, my friend, is a powerful example of divine purpose. The connection between Rahab, David, and Jesus teaches us that even the simplest, most courageous choices can open doors we never imagined. Ever think about that? That small act of kindness, that positive choice, that moment of faith, it can transform not just your life, but the lives of those around you, and even those who come after you. That's spirituality in action, living, awareness, and strength that passes through generations. Now let me ask you, are you building a legacy of faith and purpose? Or are you still hiding behind walls that deep down have already crumbled? It's time to think about the legacy you want to leave. And if Rahab's story teaches us anything, it's that it's never too late to change the ending. And guess what? The next chapter of your life is still being written. And it could be just as incredible as Rahab's if you're brave enough to rewrite your story. So tell me, after hearing all this, are you really going to keep looking at your life like it has no purpose? Going to keep hiding behind your emotional walls, hoping things will magically change? Or are you ready to smash through those barriers and rewrite your story like Rahab did? Now's the time to decide if you're just going to be another face in the crowd, or if you're going to leave a legacy that'll echo for generations. If Rahab, a woman who was rejected, could turn her life around and make history, what's stopping you from doing the same? What's stopping you from listening to that inner voice, that awareness that's calling you to something greater? Maybe the first step is simpler than you think. Start praying, start meditating, dive into the Word, open your heart. If you need a push, here it is. Lift your head up and take action. And before I wrap up, let me leave you with a powerful question. Are you ready to leave behind the life you know and step into the purpose God has for you? Ready to step out of your comfort zone and live with awareness, spirituality, and purpose? If your answer is yes, drop a comment below. Tell me your decision, because I want to see you living that miracle in real life. Oh, and of course, if this message touched you, if you felt like it spoke straight to your heart, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. That way, you'll keep learning more about how spirituality can totally change your life. Don't wait. Your purpose is waiting for you.